What's going on? Yeah, man. Want to show people this right here, and this is a good place to glean some historical data points about the weaponized scientific dictatorship, sort of a real life eugenics operation that was real time. Let's see. Let's see what we can glean from this little these data points right here. Oh, look at this. I would like to, but I don't got no internet money, and frickers are freaking thieves everywhere, man. It seems as if hybrid or cyber type of interruptions, man, are more now, because it's like because of the centralization of money, of resources, that there's a lot more criminals now, it would seem, and they've went digital. Anyway, action for T4 action. I mean, it's weird, man. German language is like, there's a lot of really similar freaking words to English and German. It's weird. Refers to mass murder by involuntary euthanasia in Nazi Germany. The term was first used in a post-war trials against doctors who had been involved in the killings. The name T4 is an abbreviation of Tiger Ten Streb, a street address of the Cancellery department set up in early 1940 in Berlin through the Tiergarten, which recruited and paid personnel associated with T4. Certain German physicians were authorized to select patients deemed incurably sick after most critical medical examination, then administer to them a mercy death. Gnadentud signed a euthanasia note. October 1939, Adolf Hitler signed a euthanasia note backdated to 1 September 1939, which authorized his physician Karl Brandt and Reichsleiter Philipp Buhler to implement the programme. The killings took place from September 1939 until the end of the war in 1945. From 275,000 to 300,000 people were killed in psychiatric hospitals in Germany and Austria, occupied Poland, with the Protectorate of Bohemia and Moravia, now known as the Czech Republic. The number of victims was originally recorded as 70,000, but the number has been increased by the discoveries of victims listed in the archives of the former East Germany. About half of those killed were taken from church-run asylums. Look, I'd like to note, church-run asylums, often with the approval of the Protestant or Catholic authorities of the institutions. See, it's like, the Catholic Church seemed to publicly denounce the Nazism, but it would seem on the backside they protected them. And that's controlled opposition. So in public, in front of the authority or in front of the media, you pretend that you're against each other, at odds, but behind closed doors, there's really a truce, or some kind of a pact. The Holy See announced on December 2nd, 1940, that the policy was contrary to the divine law, and the direct killing of an innocent person because of mental or physical defects is not allowed. But the declaration was not upheld by some Catholic authorities in Germany in the summer of 1941. Protests were led in Germany by the Bishop of Munster, Clemens von Galen, whose intervention led to the strongest, most explicit, most widespread protest movement against the policy since the beginning of the Third Reich. Several reasons have been suggested for the killings, including eugenics, racial hygiene, and saving money. There you go, saving money. Life's cheap here, and that saving money can become an excuse or a rationalization for racial targeting. Physicians in Germany and Austrian asylums continued many of these practices of Action T4 until the defeat of Germany in 1945. Technology developed under Action T4, particularly the use of lethal gas on large numbers of peoples, was taken over by the medical division of the Reich Interior Ministry, along with the personnel of Action T4 who participated in the Operation Reinhard. The program was authorized by Hitler, but the killings have since become viewed as murders in Germany. The number of people killed was about 200,000 in Germany and Austria, with about 100,000 victims in other European countries. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to bust backward real quick and go to this Action 14F13. Special treatment, Sonderbehandlung. Action 14F13, also called Sonderbehandlung, special treatment, and Action 14F13 was a campaign by Nazi Germany to terminate Nazi concentration camp prisoners. Also called Invalid of prisoner or invalid or prisoner euthanasia, the campaign culled the sick, elderly, and those deemed no longer to fit for work from the rest of the prisoners in a selection process after they were killed. The Nazi campaign was in operation from 1941 to 1944 and later covered other groups of concentration camp prisoners. So, special treatment. And look, dude, I mean, right now with everything going on and within the fog of the domestic Cold War, they could be setting up for the same process right now in the world, under the guise of special treatment to combat, some threat, some perceived threat, because they're you got to understand with these type of things, a lot of time we've been tricked and there was never any real threat. It was just a perception of a threat that was real. So it gave life to the fictional straw man entity of the threat, this boogeyman, so to speak. I mean, and you can see the same creating an artificially creating a boogeyman has been used many times historically. And I mean, it's a kind of a societal mechanism that no one stays in line if there's not an outside enemy to be used to dump upon. And then also it'd be like, what are you, a fill in the blank sympathizer? So it's a way to self-police. And also if someone's falling out of popularity or compliance with the social norms, you could be considered like in a capitalist country, they'd call you a communist, or in a communist country, you'd be like, you are secretly working for the capitalists. You know what I'm saying? They'll make these kind of blanket statement affiliations with someone who doesn't just totally hook, line, and sinker, totally opt 100% in, 1,000% into the projections of the culture that's in the vogue in fashion. And I mean, yeah, it can happen, it has happened, and it will happen again at some point. So it's just like, be aware of the signs. Let me see this right here. Let me see. Let me see. We can glean a lot of stuff from this right here. Yeah, there you go. The Sturm Storm Detachment. Original paramilitary wing played a significant role in the rise to power in the 1920s and 30s. The SA, huh? Is the SA the ones that they killed off on the night of the knives? The night of the long knives? The SA was founded in Munich by Hitler in 1921 out of various roughneck elements that had attached themselves to the fledgling Nazi movement. That's like Antifa, basically. The brown shirts in Antifa are like are very similar. Armed freebooter groups made up of largely ex-soldiers that battled leftists in the streets in the early days of the Weimar Republic. Actually, no. Then this is whatever the antithesis group to the Antifa, then, in a way, would be the SA. Outfitted in brown uniforms after the fashion of the Benito Mussolini's fascist black shirts in Italy. The SA men protected party meetings, marched to Nazi rallies, and physically assaulted political opponents temporarily in disarray after the failure of Hitler's Munich Putsch in 1923. The SA was reorganized in 1925 and soon resumed its violent ways, intimidating voters in national and local elections from January 1931. It was headed by Ernest Röhm, who harbored radical anti-capitalist notions and dreamed of building the SA into Germany's main military force. Under Rome, SA membership swelled from the ranks of the Great Depression's unemployment grew to 400,000 by 1932 and perhaps to 200 million and 20 times the size of the regular army by the time Hitler came to power in 1933. Let me see. During the early days of Nazi regime, the SA carried out unchecked street violence against Jews and Nazi opponents, but it was eyed with suspicion by regular army and by the wealth industrialists, two groups who supported Hitler were trying to secure against Hitler's expression wishes. Rome continued to press for a second Nazi revolution, a socialist character who hoped to merge the regular army with the SA under his own leadership. Look, yep, on June 30th, 1934, the night of the long knives, Die Nacht der langen Messer, Hitler, using SS forces, carried out a blood purge of the SA leadership. Rome and dozens of SA leaders were summarily executed. Thereafter, the SA, reduced in strength, continued to exist, but ceased to play a major political role in Nazi affairs. See, there's the narcissistic discard. These guys help trudge in the streets to get everyone into compliance, and then after they outlived their usefulness, they were purged from it. And it's like, look, that's how a lot of these political movements are going to be used in what we got going on now with our that's one of the Matthew 24 signs, is ethnos against ethnos and nation against nation, but worse than that, brother against brother. It means it's really local. And I think even in 2nd Ezra, it says city versus city. So when this thing really goes dark ages and breaks down, it's going to go real Middle Ages, medieval, feudal type settlement versus feudal settlement type of a deal, man. It's pretty crazy. Anyway, let's see. Reduced in strength, continues this, but ceased to play a major role in Nazi affairs from 1935. It was in charge of training all able-bodied men for Home Guard units. See, that's the thing. Once you've conquered the area around your homeland, man, he looks like he's jaw-jacking a little bit. He must have been hitting that freaking Yokain. Let me see what the heck happened there. Man, that sucks, man. Dude totally hijacked what I was gonna say. Anyway, just a little rehash of some old stuff. Oh yeah, the Matthew 24, brother against brother, local sentiment against local sentiment. Yeah. Anyway, it seems they've under the Agenda 21, they've divided all nation states into little subgroups, and they're going to appoint new guards. New World Order guards, global government guards, UN guards. I'm not sure in the end, what the name of it's going to be. But it would seem just until we get there, that's the name of the operation. But once it gets there, they can name it whatever they want. You know what I mean? Because it's only being used now as a husk, as a shell. But as a canoe, to speak, like, just to cross a big river. But once you get to the other side, you don't need the canoe no more because you're not going back. So it's only a temporary straw man operation. A torpedo, so to speak, or like those big canisters that are supposedly used to make the rocket fly into space. But I have my doubts about it, but I understand the concept. The booster rockets get you up, but once they run out of fuel, they're just weight. You just discard them. And that's the way the totalitarian global dystopia works. It's a sophisticated use and abuse, because you're property of the state. You don't mean anything. You're less than dirt. The state, the corporation, the machine, the monster, the skeleton, the infrastructure. That's what's important. You peasantry can always be replaced. It doesn't mean anything. They can just use and abuse you, steal the best of what you got, shoot you in the head. You know what I'm saying? And just kick you into that mass grave over there. I mean, it's really industrious evil, ingenuity, like evil genius, man. And everything is twisted everything's all out of context. And it's quite scary, but like I said, this is the past. It's written. It's over. It's done with. But it never really ended. It just went underground, just like any other gang or cult or anything that catches public scrutiny. Really, once it manifests and it lives out its cycle, the next cycle always comes out. It's just like gangs or anything else, dude. Like, look, it just goes underground for a while and it just reemerges, just like the mafia. When I think it was Kennedy was trying to take down the mob, they went underground. You don't even hear about the mob anymore, but they ain't went anywhere. It's just the heat and the hype just has, there's ebbs and flows and peaks and then valleys, dude, with all these cycles here. And right now, we're going to have a convergence of all the cycles all at once hitting us. I mean, I'd imagine that guy Muzzini mentioned earlier with the black shirts, that was probably, he probably came up in the mob before he came into politics and power. It's the way it works over there in Italy and all those areas. It's really, the corruption runs deep, and it's ancient, and it's very into the very fabric of the being of the paradigm. So history doesn't take it into account enough. It enables the covering up of the occult aspects of things, dude. That all these guys who were responsible for this Nazi thing and all these scientists were deep, heavy, secret occultists. Basically, they had little Dungeons and Dragons meetings where they literally were drawing circles on the floor and conjuring intelligences from the ethereal. I mean, they're not the only ones, man. John Dee, the frickin' famous occultist employed by the Queen. Frickin' look, this is normal practice. All our presidents had occultists employed for them to combat unseen forces or give them intelligences into the future, perhaps. I mean, and these people will even consult the devil himself if they can find a powerful enough witch, warlock, sorcerer with the right rituals. And if the ends justifying the means, they're about it, dude. I mean, the game of power, they got to play for keeps. They're blood in, blood out. And it's very, oh yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's like once these people take over a surrounding area, or all your external enemies are all preoccupied, and you've created these massive governments and these massive standing armies, and they have nothing to do with them to keep them busy but to go internal. I mean, this happened in Rome. Frickin', you know what I mean? Frickin', these things always power once it whips up and it gets to its max part of the cycle. It always swings and it goes into the valley where it goes internal. Like, look, on the rise up, maybe at the beginning, there's an internal fight where one guy goes to all the other chieftains in that land and he puts them under his authority and rulership, where he declares himself to be the king of kings of that empire. And that's how you basically make an empire. Ooh. But once the empire is made and then it goes on its glory hole mission where it just frickin' rises to its fame and its heights. But then once it gets there, it starts to turn in on itself and fall in on itself. And it abandons its own principles and it just look. So it becomes morally denigrated first, but then it starts to become like politically and structurally and power wise to the point where it's just, before an enemy came in and just gives them a good whooping, by that time their pride has made a blind spot, so they didn't realize how stretched out and how weak they were, and they're living off their former glory and their old hype. And they just forgot. It's kind of like Wile E. Coyote. He was so focused on chasing the Roadrunner, he didn't realize he's standing over the edge of the cliff now. And that it's about, by the time that you receive your first defeat, it's already too late. You were already defeated from within. And the fact that you're already defeated from within, and you just don't know it. You're the last to know, shows how defeated you really are. That even if you're not defeated yet, it already shows you're defeated. And that's when now everyone and their brother, all these little guys you've been picking on for so long, now they're really going to give you what you deserve. They're really going to freaking take their time paying you back. And look, if you've exploited people and abused your power and just freaking look, that's what happens to people who choose that path. Ultimately, yes, you may have many years in the sun, but look, it never really, historically, it don't even pan out well. And we ain't even got to get into the spiritual aspects that, yeah, we'll all be judged for everything we've done. In case you do happen to figure out the secret formula, so to speak, of how to live your life, do the worst and evil the whole way through, and never have to freaking, you know what I'm saying, make good on it.